so we'll have to fight our way back out and down that whole thing.
When you locate Captain Keyes, radio in, and I'll come pick you up.
Or not. Somehow we wound up on Fohammer's Pelican and she knows where the captain went. So now we get to go find him in some kind of rainforest. I hope my armor's been painted recently.
He said oil can.
Oil can what?
You fight through some fairly minor Covenant resistance, and as you go, you can hear a little bit of radio traffic. It's really faint and hard to catch, but I thought I heard something about Captain Keyes being captured. Better get there and see what's what. You locate the structure he's in and start your search. The layout of this place makes me wonder yet again why the forerunners kept all the good drugs for themselves. Convoluted doesn't begin to describe it. I find myself looking at some of these rooms and corridors and stuff and wondering, what the hell did they do here? What were these rooms for? What did they do with all this junk and why did they just leave it behind? And what is this stuff? We never find out. Aside from the predicted Covenant patrol, you encounter some weirdness. First, you meet this guy.
Stay back! Stay back!
Nothing personal, guy, but shooting at a Spartan isn't a good idea. I get the feeling he was a little shell-shocked. Then we find this.
Why do we always have to listen to this old stuff, Sarge?
Watch your mouth, son. This stuff is your history. It should remind you grunts what we're fighting to protect.
Hey, if the Covenant want to wipe out this particular part of my history, that's fine by me.
As we fast forward through the recording, we see the captain's team and their progress getting into what they believe is a weapons cache of some kind. Then we see this.
I gave you an order.
Sarge, listen. What is that?
Where's that coming from, Mendoza?
I don't... There! Mira!
Hold still! Hold still! Let him have it! Sergeant, we're surrounded. God damn it, Jenkins! Fire your weapon!
There are too many, Sarge!
Don't even think about it, Marine.
Oh, this is local!
Jenkins!
This is the Flood. Basically, there's somebody's genetic engineering experiment gone terminally wrong. Those little things are spores that take over the body of any sentient creature, whether human, Covenant, Forerunner, or anything else. Okay, they'd probably bypass Congress. And turn them into monstrosities that are bent on destroying everything in sight. So they did get to Congress! And as you saw, they can smash through solid metal and there's an infinite number of them, so no place is safe. No sooner do you finish watching the video than they start pouring out of the side rooms to claim you as their next prize. Why can't you just run back the way you came? Because until you fight off several waves of these things, the door won't open. Of course, it's called video game physics, okay? Don't try to analyze it too closely, you'll give yourself a migraine. And this is the result of what the Flood does. Best I can figure, these used to be elites, but the Flood spores have infected them and turned them into whatever these things are. As you can see, they're basically mindless engines of destruction. I have to wonder what kind of idiot thought making something like this was a good idea, and how long it took his creation to eat him. You also saw how ineffective both the assault rifle and the plasma rifle were against these things. The truth is, there's only one weapon that can really deal with those Flood critters, and that's the shotgun. Unfortunately, we haven't gotten one of those yet. There's one coming up, and from now on, you'll want to make sure you hang on to it and gather ammo any chance you get, because these things are a pain in the butt. Why are they shooting at me? I couldn't care less what they're doing up there. I just want to get out of here. But that's more video game physics. However much two foes might be at each other's throats, they will always team up to try to kill you. The best advice I can give is, don't try to kill all the Flood. It can't be done. Take out as many as you have to in order to make progress and call that good enough. It's irritating, but there it is. At least the shotgun proves very effective. No sooner do you get close to finding a way out than something new is added. They've figured out how to use weapons. Just what we need. Let's find a way out of here and figure out what to do next. I showed that one just because I'm rather proud of it. On the surface, you and some Marines start trying to fight your way to an evacuation point when these mystery lasers start helping you fight the Flood. Then suddenly...
Greetings. I am the monitor of Installation 04. I am 343 Guilty Spark.
Well, this guy does know how to make an entrance. What's his angle? Well, his job is to keep the Flood from leaving Halo. But he says he needs Master Chief's help to get something called the Index before he can activate the ring and stop the Flood. This brings us to the library. The library. Easily the worst level in the game. It's repetitive. It's boring. All the rooms look alike. Follow the monitor to a spot. He leaves, a billion Flood attack. He comes back. Follow him to another spot. He leaves, a billion Flood attack. Repeat umpteen quadrillion times and you have the library. To make matters worse, now we have these things. I've seen them called various things. I call them wobbling wigglers because they wobble when they wiggle, or wiggle when they wobble, or wibble. Never mind. Basically, they're filled with spores, and at certain points they fall down and explode, flinging their spores at you and everything else. Of course, about half the time they explode with such force that they destroy their own spores, but efficiency isn't part of the Flood's genetic code. You only need two weapons for this whole level, a shotgun and an assault rifle. The assault rifle is the weapon of choice for the hordes of spores that come your way, and the shotgun is the best thing for the big guys. And for some reason, frag grenades are more effective than plasma grenades. I don't know why, just go with it and get through the damn level as quickly as you can. The best part is, if you play again under the same player profile, you can skip this level from then until forever and ever. Amen! Thank you. Now, I mentioned the anniversary edition of this game. Word coming down the pipe was that they'd made some major changes to the library level, making it less monotonous and more fun. This clip shows the two, yes, exactly two, differences that I found.
You brought such ineffective weapons to combat the Flood, despite the containment protocols.
Better graphics and arrows on the floor to tell you which way to go. That's it. That's all I could find. Supposedly it's shorter, but it didn't feel like it to me. If it is, well and good. But I really couldn't tell it. Honestly, the anniversary edition is worth picking up and playing just for the way it's been prettified.
The security doors have sealed automatically. I will go access the override to open them.
It didn't occur to you to check the status of the doors before you drag me in here? So you stand there and fight off Flood until Sparky comes back and opens the door. Not the only time this will happen. In fact, Sparkle tells you the door is the first of 10. Oh joy. I'm not going to waste any more time showing you this level. After an eternity plus 10 minutes, you reach this index.
You may now retrieve the index.
That's it, huh? Doesn't look like much, but I'll put it in a convenient pocket.
Protocol requires that I take possession of the index for transport.
So why didn't you get it? Oh, never mind. Now what?
The flood is spreading. We must hurry.
If we're in such a hurry, why didn't you teleport us in here instead of making me go through Wes Craven's funhouse? Along the way, he's been telling us about the flood, but most of the time it's hard to hear him. He teleports us to the control room, gives you the index, and says to put it in there.
Odd. That wasn't supposed to happen.
Oh, really?
Did Spark just faint? So what's going on? Unfortunately, Cortana's in a bit of a snit, so she feels like being vague.
Cortana.
I've spent the last 12 hours cooped up in here watching you toady about, helping that thing get set to slit our throats.
Hold on now. He's a friend.
Oh, I didn't realize. He's your pal, is he? Your chum? Do you have any idea what that bastard almost made you do?
And she does not like Sparkle.
A construct in the core? That is absolutely unacceptable.
Sod off!
What impertinence! I shall purge you at once.
You sure that's a good idea?
How dare you? Oh!
Do what? I have the index. You can just float and sputter.
And here's where I get confused. Cortana is an artificial intelligence. A construct, the monitor called her. We were holding that index so it's an actual physical object, or at least it sure seemed like one. How is Cortana holding it? And what did she do with it? Another thing that's never explained. But one thing does finally get explained. What this ring does.
Halo doesn't kill Flood. It kills their food. Humans, Covenant, whatever. We're all equally edible. The only way to stop the Flood is to starve them to death. And that's exactly what Halo is designed to do. Wipe the galaxy clean of all sentient life. You don't believe me? Ask him.
Seriously? Wipe out all life bigger than a cockroach so the Flood doesn't have anything to eat? That's really the best solution these forerunners could come up with?
Is it true?
More or less. Technically, this installation's pulse has a maximum effective radius of 25,000 light years. But once the others follow suit, this galaxy will be quite devoid of life. Or at least any life with sufficient biomass to sustain the flood.
Other rings? This isn't the only one. Oh, goody. But it gets worse.
Last time you asked me, if it were my choice, would I do it? Having had considerable time to ponder your query, my answer has not changed. There is no choice. We must activate the ring.
Last time? Those maniacs actually did this? They actually fired these rings and wiped out themselves and all other sentient life in the whole freaking galaxy? Hey, Forerunners, you know those drugs? Screw that, you can keep them. Now here's another little puzzle for you. Spark has been calling you Reclaimer as if you're supposed to know what that title means. And you just heard him say, last time you asked me. If this thing is so brilliant, why doesn't it know that there's no way it could be talking to the same guy it was talking to last time? That guy would have been killed when the ring fired, moron! Either that, or he just assumes that any humanoid creature would somehow know the whole history of this ring system and what they did with it. How the hell anybody would know that when sentient life had to rise back up out of the primordial ooze again is anybody's guess. For an artificial intelligence, 343 Guilty Spark is an idiot. Unfortunately for us, he's an idiot who controls a bunch of those flying laser things, which we have since learned are called Sentinels.
Get us out of here.
If you are unwilling to help, I will simply find another. Still, I must have the index. Give your construct to me, or I will be forced to take her from you.
That's not going to happen.
So be it. Save his head. Dispose of the rest.
I've mentioned before how in a video game you can have two completely opposing forces at each other's throats, but they can always agree on one thing: they want to kill you. Well, with Halo we get a bonus. Counting the Sentinels, we now have 3 massive forces out to separate our head from our body. That'll continue through the rest of the game. and suddenly your only weapon is a plasma pistol. I have no idea why. When I played the Anniversary Edition, I decided to have some fun and only use human weapons. No plasma rifles, no plasma pistols, no needlers, none of that stuff. The human weapons are the assault rifle, the pistol, the shotgun, and the rocket launcher. Oh, and the frag grenade. And up until this point, I was successful. I took down 4 hunters with a pistol, if you can imagine that. But now I have the plasma pistol and no other option. A few well-placed shots from it will take down a sentinel, but it's annoying the way the game resets your weapons like that. And this is the only time it does that. At the beginning of several missions, it resets you to your default assault rifle and pistol to begin with, but that's to be expected. This? I have no idea who thought this was a good idea and why somebody didn't slap them for it. Through the door, you meet a zillion Covenant, so we finally get to fight our way back down the hill. Cortana says the obvious: we have to destroy this place. She starts looking for our old ship, the Pillar of Autumn, because if we can trigger its reactor to explode, it should destroy the ring. Yeah, set off a nuclear explosion. That's all we need to do. Simple. To buy some time, she's going to have us take down some generators that power Halo's system. All we have to do is get to them.
Wait, we should commandeer one of those Banshees. We'll need it to reach the pulse generator in time.
Isn't it fortunate that Master Chief just somehow knows how to drive all these vehicles? So we battle on down, grab a Banshee, and off we go. First step is right up this wall. We step inside and find the first generator.
That's the pulse generator. The center core is the signal amplifier. That's what we need to shut down.
Okay, so I just find the switch to turn it off or shoot it or something, right?
We need to interrupt the pulse generator's energy stream. I've adjusted your shield system so that it will deliver an EMP burst to disrupt the generator, but you'll need to walk into the beam to trigger it.
My shield? Seriously? That's how we do this? I walk into that intense beam of energy and my shield somehow shuts it down. Why can't I just use this handy-dandy rocket launcher? Because Cortana says so, and that's that.
The EMP blast should neutralize the generator, but it will also drain your shields and leave you vulnerable until they recharge.
Of course it will. Good thing there's no bad guys around, huh?
Objective accomplished. The pulse generator has overloaded. Scanning.
I don't know why that doesn't surprise me. Well, let's just go with it and move on. From here, you basically retrace your steps through a bunch of those tunnels and stuff, so this time follow the arrows in reverse. Naturally, there's an endless supply of both Covenant and Flood, and every time you show up, they take time out from fighting each other to go after you. This is called realism. Whoa, was that really a threefer? I guess not. Never mind. Let's keep moving. Again, don't try to kill all of the Flood. Do like a football play. Create an opening big enough for you to gain the ground you need to, then pause and plan the next step. At times, this gets almost as frustrating as the library, and just as long and monotonous. Why you can't just fly a Banshee over these mountains to the next objective, we're not told. It's not like the vehicles can't do it, but this is how it has been decreed. It makes me think about singing the padding song, but nah. You come out onto one of the plains that you've seen before, but this time there's a battle going on between the Covenant and the Flood. However, in true fashion, they all stop and focus on you as soon as you step out the door. We have a couple of stationary guns, a Wraith over there lobbing shells in random directions, which is all those things do, and a Banshee trying to do us bodily harm. Okay, that helps. We fight our way to another Banshee so we can get up to where the next generator is. Okay, I know look before you leap is a really old cliche, but it's all I've got. In we go. We take care of the next one, fight off a bunch of Flood, and head back to our Banshee.
I've located the Pillar of Autumn. She put down 1,200 kilometers upspin.
What exactly does upspin mean? Whatever it means, it doesn't mean much unless we can find the captain. He has some neural implants of some kind that are required to access a lot of systems on the ship, and we know the Covenant or somebody captured him. So after we blow the third generator, we have to go find him. We have to go back through that big underground tunnel to get to the next canyon and generator, so of course we'll fly into it with the Banshee. Actually, the firepower comes in quite handy because there's a battle royal going on between the Covenant and the Flood. A broken door further in means we have to abandon the Banshee. Eventually, we get to the last generator. Considering how the Flood and everybody else descended on us the last 2 times, this should be pretty freaking impossible. At the entrance to the last generator, we encounter some more Sentinels. Fortunately, they get close enough so that I can take them down with my shotgun. Unfortunately, when I did that in the Anniversary Edition, I discovered something rather dismaying. Disappearing bodies. Really? Halo has always been above that sort of thing. Bungie has always gone that little extra step of preserving what's there. At a point heading toward this spot, I ran out of rocket ammo. I knew there was some Flood further back that had been using rocket launchers, so I went back to get some ammo from them. They had vanished. You watched that downed Sentinel vanish right there in front of us. This is lazy. This isn't how Halo operates. This isn't Halo Bungie quality. What are they doing? Who made this? 343. Gee, that's original. So this got contracted out to somebody else? I don't actually know. Truth be told, the same outfit did Halo 4. We'll talk about that in due time. But this is a little disappointing. The Halo franchise set higher standards than this. Again, the Anniversary Edition is worth checking out, but I hope it's not pointing to a trend in the franchise, because if it is, we can expect a lot lower quality in the future, and I don't think anybody really wants that. Anyway, the last generator. Make sure the shotgun's fully loaded, and let's do this.
Final target neutralized. Let's get out of here.
Nothing? After all that build-up, nothing?
Like having sex. It's a painstaking, arduous task that seems to go on and on forever, and just when you think things are going your way, nothing happens.
So now we need to head off and find the captain. And Cortana has a little surprise for us.
Let's find a ride and get to the captain.
No, that'll take too long.
You have a better idea?
There's a teleportation grid that runs throughout Halo. That's how the monitor moves about so quickly. I learned how to tap into the grid when I was in the control center. Unfortunately, each jump requires a rather consequential expenditure of energy.
Something tells me I'm not gonna like this.
But I'm pretty sure I can pull it from your suit without permanently damaging your shields. Needless to say, I think we should only try this once.
And she didn't figure this out earlier because, well, let's see what this is like.
Oh, I see. The coordinate data needs to be... Right. Sorry.
Make your own joke. We're inside a Covenant cruiser and Cortana has a lock on the captain's signal. Let's go find him. Step 1 involves falling through a hole and having to find a way back into the ship. That's an auspicious beginning. Every so often we get a garbled message from the captain telling us to get out of there, but Cortana's having none of it. We fight through both Flood and Covenant until we reach him.
No human life signs detected. The captain, he's one of them.
What? Okay, we've seen humans and Covenant alike turned into Flood, and this is not what it looks like. What did they do to him, and why did they only do it to him? Whatever the case, there's nothing for it but to rip his neural implants out of that mess of whatever and get back to the Pillar of Autumn and carry out our plan. Getting out of this room is an unbelievable fight, first with who knows how many Flood, and then a couple of Covenant squads. You fight your way back to the shuttle bay that you passed earlier, and just as you get there, a drop ship comes in with a couple of Banshee escorts.
Isn't that convenient?
You grab one of the Banshees and make your escape. Next stop, the Pillar of Autumn, where this whole thing started.
This thing is falling apart.
It'll hold.
We're not gonna make it.
We'll make it.
Pull up! Pull up! You did that on purpose, didn't you?
Yeah, that's payback for dropping me on my head, I guess. Our first stop is the bridge, so we can start the ship's auto-destruct sequence. That should make the reactor go critical and trigger the explosion we need to demolish Halo.
I leave home for a few days and look what happens. This won't take long. There. That should give us enough time to make it to a lifeboat and put some distance between ourselves and Halo before the detonation.
I'm afraid that's out of the question, really.
Oh, hell.
Language, Cortana, really? So he stops the countdown and it's starting to look like all is lost.
He's in engineering. He must be trying to take the core offline. Even if I could get the countdown restarted, I don't know what to do.
How much firepower would you need to crack one of the engine shields?
Not much. A well-placed grenade, perhaps, but why? Okay, I'm coming with you.
You fight a bunch of sentinels to get to engineering. If you're paying attention, you'll stop off at the armory, which is right next door, and pick up a rocket launcher. It'll make the next task a lot easier. Naturally, you have sentinels, flood, who knows what, trying to stop you, and the monitor pretty well never shuts up, but you get there. The basic task is to hit a control to pull back an exhaust vent of some kind, then get an explosive into the resulting opening. We talked about grenades, but the rocket launcher has a lot better reach and better accuracy. All 4 covers that you need to operate are on the 2nd floor, but to put a rocket into the core you have to hop onto that cover, and the only way off is down. So expect to be running upstairs a lot. Do that 4 times and it's time to get out of here ASAP. You take an elevator to the motor pool where you grab a warthog to get you to the evac spot. Cortana puts in a call to Foehammer and you're off. Forget every driving game you've ever played, forget everything you've ever learned about wild driving in a game, because this is wacky races and you're the star. Flood, Covenant, Sentinels, Burger King, just blow past all of them and keep going. Soon enough, you get to the pickup point.
Cortana to Echo 419. 2 Covenant Banshees are approaching on your 6. Evade. Say again, evade. I'm hit. Mayday. Mayday. Have one button to stop the hell. I can't hold her. I can't hold on.
Echo 419!
Foehammer! Doggone it. I was hoping the chief would ask her on a date when they got back. She sounded like a lot of fun. I'll bet she was a real babe, too. We'll never know. I never even got to learn her last name. What? You don't think Foehammer was her first name? But we still need to get out of here. Cortana?
Ship's inventory shows 1 longsword fighter is still docked in Launch Bay 7. If we move now, we can make it.
Well, that's convenient. All we have to do is get there. Time for some more of the same. You keep going through pretty much exactly what you just went through and you get to the hangar where the last ship is waiting for you. You'll notice that I didn't mention the fact that this level's timed. That's because, as you saw, even as bad at this stuff as I am, you have plenty of time to get there unless you thoroughly suck beyond all recognition. I come close to that, and even I made it. A cutscene after the credits shows that Sparky survived, so I don't doubt we'll be seeing that little hole again. Meanwhile, You saw those Flood approaching the ship just as it exploded. You'll see that in the bottom 3 difficulty modes. If you get all the way through the game on Legendary, it's very different. No, I'm not going to spoil it for you. If you simply must, look it up online. Let's just say that when I got there and saw the scene, I didn't stop laughing for a week.
Shut them down. We'll need them later. Fancy a look?
Did anyone else make it?
Scanning. Just dust and echoes.
Cortez. Hey, moving on.
We're all that's left. We did what we had to do for Earth. An entire Covenant armada obliterated, and the Flood. We had no choice. Halo, it's finished.
No. I think we're just getting started.
So that was Halo. It put the Xbox on the map, and with good reason. This game set the tone for shooters for ages to come. Now, I have a lot of people say, well, you like Halo, but you hated Half-Life. But without Half-Life, there wouldn't have been a Halo. I don't know if that's true or not, and for me, it really doesn't matter. I like Halo because it doesn't suck. I dislike Half-Life because it does suck. Basically, Halo fixed all the things that are wrong with Half-Life, but the Half-Life people didn't take the hint and kept doing things the suck way. Halo said, no, let's fix this. And they did. Big time. There are a few things I would have liked to see, and I've already mentioned most of them. Those fuel rod cannons that some of the grunts were using. When you kill the grunt, the weapon explodes. It would have been nice to be able to pick it up and give it a try. Likewise for those swords that some of the elites had. It would have been fun to grab one of those and see what I could do with it. Maybe in the next game. There was only one way to find out. Until then, I'm Irving, and I have no life. Just like you.
Well, finally, Irving got 3 slugs in the belly. It was right outside the Frontier Deli. He was sitting there twirling his gun around, and Butterfingers Irving gunned himself down. Irving. Big fat Irving. Big dum-dum Irving. Big dum-dum dead Irving. The 142nd fastest gun in the West. Really?
The grunts are a lot of fun to deal with, and when you blow them up, they stick to the wall. Who could ask for more? Halo was the flagship game for Microsoft. Halo was the flagship for Microsoft's then new at the time game. Halo was the flagship for.